Hey, everybody. Good evening. It's 5:20 or so my time here on Wednesday evening. Just wanted to send a quick message out to everybody in the absence of a mass email system here. I thought this might be the best way to kind of tell everybody what's going on, get some information out real quick, and just kind of provide an update. So give me a second here. I'm going to share my screen. So hold on one second. Okay. So here we are. I'm going to call this May's Chiefs Report. Again, I wanted to give an update here and kind of provide some insight to what's going on. There is a lot of it. Whether you know it or not, there's a lot of moving parts happening right now, and there's actually too much to even all cover tonight here. But there is a lot going on. At the same time, I certainly respect the fact that people want to know what's going on. I would want to know as well. So this is my attempt to really keep everybody in the loop. So that people hear things from the source and that everyone feels included, so that they can be part of the organization here. At the same time, I am still learning. I'm still figuring out how things work and what we do and don't do and things like that. So certainly not where I really wanted to be as far as progress right now, but we are getting there. So with that, let's jump in here. I want to quickly talk about policies and procedures. One of the most important things for me to do, I think, is set a solid foundation. And the best way to do that really is consistent practices. So currently going through SOGs and adding things as I see fit and adjusting things as needed, and putting some different things into play. But that's a struggle sometimes because you can't come in and overhaul everything in one shot. And there's usually not a need to do that. So what I'm doing right now is putting together what I'm calling an SOG Annex book. And you're going to see these at both stations. They're currently there in both radio rooms. And you should start to kind of paw through those and read those. Please review them. We'll start socializing these. There's some things in there that we'll put into play immediately and things that we're going to kind of put into play a little bit over time. But those ones that are in that book are ones that I'm pushing forward with right now that I really do want people to start to become familiar with, and we'll start using these during training very soon. With training, I'm always going to look to train to a procedure if there in fact is one, not to proceduralize everything to death, but so that people understand what it is we're doing, why we're doing it, and what the expectation is. We don't want to train to someone's opinion. We want to train to a procedure or to a process. So we'll start using those very soon in training. You can probably already recall now those that at live fire training a couple of weeks ago. On the radio, I started to use some terminology that maybe you weren't familiar with, and there was a strategic reason for that. And you'll see some of that terminology in those SOGs when you start to read through those. Some appointments have been made. If you're not aware, and these are a little old now, but I wanted to kind of wait until after we had our first officers meeting, which happened last week. So here we are rolling some things out that have really all already taken shape. But if you're not aware, Jeremy DeBello has been officially appointed as a training officer, Tim Visser, the health and safety officer, and Al Tompkins, the director of medical operations. And if you want to know what these folks are responsible for, their job descriptions are in that annex book as well. So you can certainly read through those and take a look and see what's there. Operationally speaking, some response plan changes, and I was going to hold off on this until next week to release this. However, the 911 center is moving much faster than I thought they were going to, and you'll see some of these changes as soon as 5 minutes from now. So resources, we are going to start to use additional resources. You will see the Fayetteville units get started to pretty much every call, all the way to Kirkville Road, and you will see the East Syracuse units get started to almost every call north of Kirkville Road. Several reasons for that, and that is I believe in using our neighbors. I believe in beefing up response plans for several reasons. One is nobody is doing things by themselves anymore. Those days are long over. They just are. And I want us to be in the mindset that, when we go to a fire alarm, that is it's a fire until proven otherwise. So it's okay to get some more resources on the road. It's perfectly fine. And the by far the best way for us to kind of work with our neighbors more is to invite them here. And we have to be doing that. We have to be inviting our neighbors more. We have to be working together more. It is the only way that we are going to work with them reciprocally. So we're going to invite our neighbors quite a bit. Response plans as far as box alarms, I'm looking at those now. I just had the initial draft done up at fire control the other day. We're going to reduce our box alarms from about the 16 or 17 we have now to about 9. And even that number of 9 is more than I really want to have, but the geography of this district becomes challenging to reduce box alarms. My ultimate goal has always been that, as company officers and chiefs, you could pretty much memorize your box alarms and know what's coming to what alarm based on what you need. So as soon as we have those done, I will roll those out so that everyone can see what's coming and to what. The big change that's going to occur immediately is the duty chief program. Manoa will now be participating in the duty chief program. For those that are not aware, DeWitt, Fayetteville, and Manlius have used this program successfully for years now. And the ultimate goal of the program is to ensure that a administrative level fire chief is always available. So whether that's for a fire or an incident, or whether it's for, hey, we just crashed a vehicle and I can't get a hold of any of my chiefs, can you help me? Or someone just broke into the firehouse, what do I do? Or those kind of things that maybe those other chief level officers could provide assistance on when no one is available here. The goal of the program was never to push our chiefs aside. Doesn't matter what department it's from. We still run our incidents. If we have a chief marks out to a call here and the duty chief marks out as well, that's okay. I've encouraged them to please come by anyway and continue on to the call, even just to say hello and just to kind of socialize the concept a bit. I know that there are several of you that don't know the area chiefs, and we need to break that barrier down as well. If we want to work together seamlessly on a call, the best way to do that is to work together before the alarm. So I've encouraged them to stop by drill nights, stop by any duty shifts, and again, stop by any call that is going on, just to know everybody as fast as we possibly can. So you'll see a DeWitt chief or a Manlius chief or a Fayetteville chief, coming to calls in Manoa, even if their engine or apparatus was not assigned, and vice versa. You might hear me go to DeWitt or go to Fayetteville or Manlius. Currently, I am the only chief that is responding out of the district. And again, it's strategic right now. It is a growing system. It is learning as we go. So we'll build those capabilities up as we go. The ultimate goal there is to include East Syracuse as well. And at that time, we will likely put 2 chiefs on every night. So once we have that capability, you'll see a Manoa chief or an East Syracuse chief, and then maybe a Manlius or Fayetteville DeWitt chief on all the time to cover a fairly large district. So I know that's confusing. I know there's a lot to that. If you have any specific questions about the duty chief, please reach out to me directly. Training and operational readiness. So for me, these are super important. Training has always been a passion of mine. It's something I love to do. So with that, here's some things with training. There are a whole lot more opportunities for us to train, and there will be even more very soon. Fayetteville, for example, trains every single night. We have an open door invite to go train with them whenever we want to. Fayetteville, Manlius, and DeWitt train every Wednesday morning at 10. They call that joint training. We have an open door invite to that. East Syracuse is going to start training routinely in evening standby time, so we can go to that. There's just lots more opportunities popping up everywhere that we are going to take advantage of, and I really encourage you to do so. Again, the more we're working with our neighbors, the better it's going to be when it comes time to actually go to work on a call. I'm going to encourage training to be dynamic. And what I mean by that is I don't want to do static skills. I don't want to just force a door, just stretch a line, just throw a ladder. I want to incorporate these things in more scenario-based training so that if we are doing enforceable entry, maybe we stretch a line to a door, we mask up, we force the door, charge the line, then we stop and reset. So we're in that kind of mode of not just doing one skill, but putting several skills together. And we've got some experienced firemen here, and we need to use that experience to hone their skills to challenge them a little bit. We've also had some brand new guys that, we'll bring up to where we want them to be. So, but I'm going to ask that training to be a little more dynamic. Operational readiness, there's not a whole lot more important next to training as far as being ready. So we want to make sure our vehicles are good to go and not just checking boxes on vehicle inspections, but really making sure that the equipment's not only there, but it's ready to be used and it is in working order and that we are familiar with it, that we understand how it works. So if you're not sure how an airbag works, let's get it out. Let's try to use it. If you're not sure how to change a blade on a Sawzall, those kind of things. So being very familiar and being curious of how things work and asking questions of how things work. So please don't be afraid to say, hey, I'm not sure how this works. Let's get it out and try to use it long before we might need it on an emergency call. And last here, but certainly really most important is personnel. There is no more important resource than our people. Our people are our biggest asset, and we really need to treat them as such. So let's really do a better job, taking care of each other. Let's be nice to each other. Let's give everybody a chance. Let's communicate. Let's talk. Let's do all those things that we should be doing as an elite emergency services, agency. If we're not taking care of each other, I can really predict that we're not going to be able to take care of the public. It's just not going to work. So I'm really asking everyone to please put a good effort towards, mending some relationships and making sure that we're ready to work. I'm not asking anybody to force friendships on that. I'm not looking for that, but I'm certainly going to expect that when we are in the firehouse or on the fire ground, we are getting along and we are doing the right thing and that we can work together and that everyone has the confidence that they're going to work with each other on the fire ground. So please put a good effort towards that. Been a lot of talk about bylaws recently for me as well. And I know that we are in the very beginning stages of revising these. So there's been a lot of discussion about it, and I don't have much to update you right now. I finally just talked to Brad Pinsky today. My focus in these bylaws is going to be all the operational stuff. So, qualifications for officers and responsibilities of officers, those kind of things. So I'm still in the very early fact-finding phase of what that might look like. So please stay tuned on that. It's not gone away. No one's forgotten about it. We're just really in the beginning stages there, and I promise to update you as soon as I possibly can on the process and the bylaw situation. I have to talk about field days because they're coming up pretty soon. First, you won't see me a lot during the field days, and that is not because I'm anti-field days. It is because as a part-time rock star, I book my band's shows about 8 months in advance. So as you can imagine, summertime is heavy for us. So I have shows booked that weekend. I have 1 on Friday and 2 on Saturday. So I will not be here much. I will stop in as much as I possibly can, and I will support the event as much as possible, but I won't be there a whole lot. As far as operations though, as far as fire crews, Thursday, the crew will respond in service from the field. Friday, we'll be covered by Taunton. They'll be at Station 1 here, and Saturday covered by Moore's Corners at Station 1 as well. We will put an in-service crew at the field, and they should respond to anything on the field. But other than that, we should expect that 90% of the calls will be handled by on Friday Taunton and Saturday Moore's Corners. I will say that if there's a working fire in the district, we should go. So I would expect that crew, if they are dispatched to a working fire in the district, they can go. Or a hellacious car wreck in the district, they can go. The officers are already aware of this. I'm also going to demand that we do not respond to the call lights and sirens until we are long clear of the field itself. There's just too many people, and remember that lights and sirens attract a whole lot of kids. So not until we are long clear of the field, but I really hoping that we don't have to respond to anything. So those are the field days coverage. Last week we had our first officers meeting, and some of this comes right from what we talked about there. As far as expectations, I want you to be in the mindset that you represent Manoa Fire at all times. If you're at the bar somewhere wearing a Manoa Fire t-shirt, or even if you're not, there's a very small community. Everybody knows each other. Please represent us well. So if you're picking a fight with your neighbor, remember that they know you're a Manoa fireman. So please represent in a positive fashion everywhere. Do the right thing for people, be a helper, be a good member of the organization, and represent well, please. I don't care if you have a leadership position or not. You don't have to be an officer to be a leader. You don't have to be an officer to be a motivator, to be a helper. I'm really encouraging everyone to do that. Don't be afraid to stop and pick up a piece of garbage and throw in the garbage. Don't be afraid to wash a dirty fire truck. Don't be afraid to help a brand new member who's struggling putting their gear on. The more we can build bench strength, the more we can build motivators and leaders, just the better organization we're going to become. And we're going to become that better organization much faster. I would encourage you to engage in training every single day, whether it's read a magazine article, watch a YouTube video, pull an article offline somewhere, open and close a door of a piece of apparatus and wonder how something works and get some clarification on how to use a piece of equipment. So if you can train every day, just put your gear on and off, do a donning doffing drill. All that stuff is going to help us on the fire ground eventually. This one's the toughest. I know that. Avoid the rumor mill and negativity. The fire stations in general, not here, I mean worldwide, are legit full-on rumor mills. They always are. We're a fairly competitive group. We're typically type A personalities. Everyone knows they can do things better than anybody else. That's okay. I like the competitive nature. I'm competitive myself. I want to be the best at all times. But rumors and negativity aren't helpful. They are extremely hurtful. So please avoid that as much as you can. We went through a time in DeWitt where things were very poisonous, and I had to encourage the officers that the minute it started in the sitting area, we'll call it, get up and walk away. The more that the officers are not involved, the more the firemen get, I'm not going to engage in this, the better it's going to be. The truth is that, there are people that love negativity and love rumors. They like to spread them. They like the anxiety. They like to stir up drama. And the more you give those people an audience, the more it will continue. If you stop giving them an audience, you stop playing the game, it'll eventually just go away because the fun will be over. Imagine trying to play tennis by yourself, where someone hits the ball across the net and you decide, I'm not going to hit it back. I'm going to drop my racket and walk away. The game is over. I try to live by a phrase that goes like this: you're only in a contest if you're willing to be a contestant. So if you don't get involved in the contest, there's no contest anymore. So please pay attention to that. Please walk away from that kind of stuff. If you want to know if something's going on, ask. I've said before, I'm a terrible poker player. I'm going to be very transparent. The officers know what is happening. That you can ask them and they will tell you. And if they don't know, they will ask me and I will tell them. There are no secrets here. We are all going to be in the know. That is the best way to run things, is everyone is in the know, knows the expectations, and knows where we're going. And above all, just continue to do the right thing. Do the right thing for the public. Do the right thing for your brothers and sisters. Do the right thing, and things will be smooth, I promise. I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did, but some things that are popping up in the future that are on the radar here. Caretaker spot that's been brought up a couple of times to me. I don't exactly know what's happening with it. My intention is to fill it. However, I want to fill it the right way. So I've asked some pointed questions to the village, to the insurance companies, and to some lawyers of what we can and can't do with that spot. So stay tuned for more on that. And again, I'll provide an update as soon as I have it, but my intention is to fill that. My intention is to work with our neighbors as much as possible. Again, I'm all about, trying to encourage togetherness and working together more. And the best way for us to do that is to continue to work with our neighbors. People have asked me, how soon are we going to get invited to go to other places? And I can't answer that, but I will tell you this: the faster we're inviting people here and the more they see what we can do, the more likely they are to invite us to their game someday. I want to streamline equipment sooner than later. A quick example: I've come across 3 different styles of Halligan bars here. That might seem petty, but when I'm asking to use a Halligan bar in the dark and really be intimate with that device or that tool, I want it to be the same. So I want to make sure we have the same equipment on the same rigs, same battery powered tools, same everything we can that is familiar is going to be easier to use in the heat of the moment at 3 a.m. when we really need to use it. And group purchases on the radar as well for a lot of departments here. I'll use turnout gear as the best example. Right now, it's about 9 months to get a set of turnout gear on, which is not acceptable to me, but it is what it is. And prices went up about 40% in turnout gear over the last 5 years. That's significant. So we've been talking about putting a group together that can hopefully decide on an actual turnout gear spec that we can agree on with as many departments as possible in our section here. we'll have a lot more say in money and a lot more say in purchasing power if we're doing that. So those are the big things that are on the radar right now. I realize that not a lot of you, well, some of you don't have my contact information. I want to make sure you have that. So my email addresses are here. Either one is fine. The Village of Manoa one gets a little tricky here and there. The security system that accompanies the village email system is sometimes strict. So if you've emailed me to that address before and I haven't gotten it, that is why. So you could feel free to use either email address here. And my cell phone number is there as well, 315-729-8421. I've told everybody for as long as I can recall that if I answer the phone, you are not bothering me. So you don't ever have to say, hey, I'm sorry to bother you. You're not bothering me, or I would not have answered the phone. So please, feel free to call, text. If you have a question, I'm usually available and happy to answer that. So with that, that's the update for now. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. I appreciate you listening in. I just want to keep the communications lines open, and I'll provide some updates as soon as I possibly can. We'll talk soon. Stay safe.